great honor of leading the crew at Virgin Voyages, frankly, ever since the inception about 3.5 years ago. And I can honestly say that this has been an incredible experience to be part of this team. I've had the privilege over my career to work with some wonderful colleagues, but I have to say that my time at Virgin Voyages is far above the rest. So our crew members have a very unique passion, and they have creativity, and they have drive, which fuels our one-of-a-kind culture. And I'm humbled to have the opportunity to lead this team on this fantastic journey. I'm also very honored to be here with all of you tonight, and thank you for coming. And a special shout out to our friends on Facebook Live. Are you guys there? Can you hear me this time? Yes. Well, this is a night that I've personally been waiting on and very excited about for a long time. And I couldn't be more pleased to be able to share with you some very special surprises later this evening. As you know, we've been doing a series of ship teases and these reveals as we slowly pull back the veil on our lovely lady ship and the company as a whole. Many of you have already seen a glimpse of the exterior of our ship, and tonight we'll be showing you a little more of that, plus a little bit of the beauty that rests inside the ship as well. At Virgin Voyages, you know, we pride ourselves on being more than just another cruise line, which is why in everything we do and in every decision we make, we are always working to redefine how the world views sea travel. It's why we named the company Virgin Voyages, because we see this as more than a cruise. This is a journey. It's why we designed our ships to be smaller than most, to provide a more personal and intimate experience for our sailors. And it's why with each step we take, we are working to change the way this kind of vacation not only looks, feels, but most importantly, how it's experienced. In previous ship teases, we told you a little bit about the members of what we call our creative collective, those that were responsible for the exquisite exterior of the ship. We talked about RWD, the amazing British yacht designers who designed the ship's iconic funnel. And we spoke of Magpie Studio in London, a creative firm responsible for the gorgeous livery of our ship. We've also introduced artist Toby Tinsley, who crafted the design and the look for our leading lady's mermaid image that you'll see on the side of the vessel. All of them have contributed tremendously towards ensuring that we will become the most irresistible, alluring, and recognizable vessel anywhere on Earth. We've also touched on our commitment of having one of the cleanest fleets at sea. And we've spoken about the decision, my favorite, to be adult by design, which means that we are designing a modern, cutting-edge, 18 and over sanctuary at sea. How about that? And tonight, we plan to share some of the most beautiful and captivating spaces that will ever be seen at sea. But before we get started, I want to talk a little bit more about what we've been up to with regard to the overall construction and the progress there. There's been a lot of work going on. You know, it takes a lot to build a ship, to say the least, and there are many steps involved in making this a reality. I know that people are always interested in seeing the final, beautiful, finished product, but what goes on behind the scenes in order to create that beauty is pretty remarkable. You know, the process of building a ship starts with a full year of designing, followed by another full year of engineering before any construction even begins. And to kick off construction, we start by cutting a whole lot of steel. And we cut so much steel that we had to have a steel cutting celebration. And of course, if we have a celebration, then we have to have a party afterwards, and we're good at that. And then we had to lay the ship's keel. And that's where they take the first section of the ship, this big block, and they put it into the dry dock, and they include a lucky keel coin in there, because that's a maritime tradition for blessing the vessel for good fortune. And naturally, that sounded like a good opportunity to have another party. And so we did that. I think you see a theme here. And since then, the ship's construction has been progressing heavily, and there's been a lot going on. Cruise vessels are constructed they're built up of these massive blocks, right? As of right now, we have 48 blocks that have been completed of the 108 that it takes to make up our ship. And the steel work on the front of the ship is also coming along very nicely. We are up to deck 16. And that's the deck that our pool is on. So as you can see, ship is getting real, right? We've made great progress. As you know, our ship is being built at a shipyard in Genoa, Italy. But it's not uncommon these days for ships of this size to be built in different sections and then brought together to create the full ship. And right now, this is happening concurrently at 3 different shipyards. So as you can see on the screen over here, hopefully we can run some footage to show how we're building these main sections of the ship, block by block and deck by deck. And what they're doing is they're creating these great sections that can weigh up to 6,000 tons each. One section is being built in Romania right now, the other section being built in Palermo, and then it all comes together at this shipyard right here in Genoa. So in July, we'll be bringing these 3 parts together to finalize the finished structure, and we like to refer to that as the hookup event. And you guys know what happens after that, right? Anybody? We have another party. So, like tonight, we're going to have another party tonight. So, but back to tonight, you know, we love to do things differently here at Virgin, and it's not only reflected in our approach to the onboard experience, but it's also in how we looked at the overall design of the ship. As part of our design vision, we purposely set out to find respected visionaries who were known for their forward-thinking designs. And in addition, we sought out to work with designers who had never worked on ships before so that they can bring a completely new perspective to Virgin Voyages. So tonight you're going to hear from a few members of our Design Creative Collective, but there are also a few folks here whose designs you will see later in the year as we talk more about the onboard experience. So with that, I'd like to recognize Chris Baggett and Oliver Salway from Soft Room in London. Dan Wood and Maurizio Bianchi Martioli from Work AC in New York.
Hi.
You can tell by my accent I've been spending a lot of time in Italy these days. But anyway, we can't wait to see your great work later this year. I'd also like to recognize our coordinating marine architect, Giacomo Mortola, and thank all of the partners for their hard work in celebrating. We set out with a distinct idea to search for the most respected, experienced designers on land anywhere, and let them take and apply their individual strength and their innovative thinking to our ship. And tonight, we're going to be revealing 6 amazing public areas of the ship, and we're going to hear from some of those designers as well. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our host this evening and our panel moderator for tonight. She comes to us from our newly appointed creative advertising agency named Mother New York. And since she's in charge of the whole place, she's referred to as the Queen Mother. So with that, welcome to the stage, Arthi Thiagarjian. Welcome, Arthi. Thank you. So, one quick question. Arthi, what's it like to be known as the Queen Mother?
I actually didn't know you called me that. At work, they call me the Mother of Dragons, so I'm pretty sure you just gave me a promotion.
Well,
So thank you for that.
good job. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me tonight. It couldn't be more wonderful to be here. I just want to say hello to everyone on Facebook Live. Hopefully they can hear us and see us. Thank you guys for joining in as well. To get things started, I wanted to introduce the person behind the larger vision for the Virgin Voyages ship, really our leader in this whole design journey we've been on. She comes to us from Virgin Atlantic, where she led all things design and experience. And today, she's responsible for curating this amazing panel of design talent who are really making the Virgin Voyages ship a reality. So please welcome to the stage the Senior Vice President for Product Design at Virgin Voyages, Dee Cooper. Our next guest is globally recognized for his innovative, distinct, and disruptive designs in lighting, furniture, and accessories. He and his teams are complete masterminds and the ones behind Tom Dixon Lighting and Furniture, as well as the hotels Mondrian London at the Sea Container House. These are just a couple of the many iconic visionary works behind his name. So please join me in welcoming Tom Dixon of Design Research Studio. Now, our next design partners this evening are known for their inventive and edgy point of view. They're one of Europe's top design firms, and they're responsible for the fun, eccentricity, and a lot of the elegance that comes through in the Citizen M hotels around the globe. They've also done amazing work at the W Hotel in Switzerland, and again, these are just a couple of samplings of the amazing work they've done in the hospitality space and beyond. So please join me in welcoming the principal designers at Concrete Amsterdam, Rob Wagemans and Lisa Hassanzadeh. Our final featured design team, unfortunately, couldn't be with us in New York tonight, but we'll be featuring New York later in the evening, and through the magic of video, you will see them and hear from them. But do please join me for a round of applause now for the design team at Roman and Williams. Right. Everybody ready to get their panel on? All good parties are preceded by panels. Okay, Dee, I would love to start with you. I'm super excited to be here and talk to you. I think one thing that's really interesting is that you did lead all the design and experience work at Virgin Atlantic, and that's, you know, really being the driving force under everything the customer touched, from in-flight to the lounge aesthetic. This is obviously a very different sort of mission and task, but I'd love to hear about any synergies you're seeing in those two experiences.
Well, Virgin's a great brand to be involved with, and it loves to do things differently for its customers and to create amazing, different customer experiences. But at Virgin Voyages, this is about creating a holiday experience for our customers, and it's about, in fact, I'm not allowed to call them customers, I have to call them sailors, because on board our voyage, they're all sailors, and we want to create an amazing experience on board. And so in order to do that, we get to work with some amazing design talent, and both at Virgin Atlantic and now at Virgin Voyages, I'm lucky enough to work with some amazing talent, and today we're going to celebrate some reveals with you.
That makes total sense in terms of what's connected in those experiences. I think the other thing that's fascinating is, holy ship, a ship is so massive, right? Just the ambition of it feels a lot more like trying to recreate a city than even a specific restaurant or an area in any way. So I'd love to hear just more about your overall approach at taking on something at such scale.
Well, it's very exciting to be involved in creating a holiday for our sailors. So we wanted to give our sailors lots of choice. And if you think about this amazing city that we're in at the moment, you know, you choose to go uptown and glam it up and be refined and glamorous, and you choose to go downtown to the West Village and be a bit more relaxed. And we wanted to give our customers, our sailors, diversity and choice across the ship, which is a very exciting thing to create.
And was that a big reason why you landed on a creative collective, even thinking about the two design teams here with us tonight, and Roman and Williams as well? What inspired you to seek them out, and how did you go about determining who would design what space?
Well, these guys are pretty amazing, and getting to work with them and be involved in creating a brand new experience for our sailors was great fun for all of us, I think. We were lucky enough to be able to have a whole range of opportunities where we could really take their strengths, the amazing work that they've done on the lounge around the world, and think, how do we use their success on board our ship, and to make it even better for our sailors.
Yeah, that's great. Tom, I'm going to go to you next. Get excited. Look excited. Yeah, I know. I studied up on you beforehand, and you're definitely registering at high excitement levels. But in all seriousness, speaking of getting excited, when you first got the call for Virgin Voyages, what did you think? Like, what was your initial reaction?
I don't know. I like a new adventure, so the idea of working on sea for the first time appealed to me a lot, you know. And as the idea of working with lots of different designers rather than going to experts in cruise design, which would have been the obvious thing to do, became more obvious, and who the people that we would be working with, it seemed like it was going to be a big adventure. You know, it's quite risky to do what Virgin have done here. Get a load of people that have never been on a cruise before.
None of you have.
Including her. Right?
I have now.
But there's a logic to that madness, which is that, you know, if you're going to encourage people, you know, to go on cruises of a new demographic, then why not use designers that haven't been on a cruise and say, well, what would it be that would entice you to go on a cruise, maybe? And then the idea of diversity in a controlled environment was interesting, right?
I think we're going to start to see the ship teas on the screen. Right here, we're looking at, you know, this premier Mexican restaurant, Pink Agave. And Tom, as you talk about not having designed for sea before, I'm just curious what your vision was and so your inspiration going about this space in particular, and then if there's any unique challenges designing, you know, on a ship versus land.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many challenges, really, that are sometimes technical. You know, there's relatively low ceiling heights. The construction is completely out of steel, as Tom pointed out earlier, and there's vast amounts of restrictions in terms of the types of material, you know, the flammability, the wear and tear as well, and it's quite a harsh environment in a way, a cruise liner. So, you know, restrictions are what designers thrive on that, and you know, so we spent a lot of time, you know, battling them and being inspired by them equally, you know.
And then I would love to look at the VIP rooftop space. Looks absolutely spectacular.
Right at the front
As
of the ship,
As we hear Tom talk and everything we know of Virgin and Virgin Voyages, the entire experience is so premium. When being tasked with creating an even more sort of premium VIP space on top of that, did you have a particular muse in mind or way to go about thinking of how to be inspired in that?
No, I think that, you know, because the cruise industry has so few players and they tend to use the same inspirations or they have the same aesthetics. There's two or three ways of doing it, conventional ways of doing cruise liners. I think, I wouldn't say it was easy, but just reducing and minimizing some of the visual noise. You know, they're amazing structures with an amazing view, and what you want to do really is bring comfort and a higher level of materiality and probably a bit of calm into the proceedings. A lot of those ships are really about forced fun or
You're not into forced fun?
But I think, as you say, it's sort of being right at the front, at the top of the ship, celebrating the ocean. But your favourite saying, you have to say your favourite, retrofuturism. Bit of retro, thinking about being inspired by the past, but doing it in a bang up-to-date modern way to make it very
I think
sexy.
the influences were partly to do with you know, the glamorous age of cruise liners. I mean, there was this romance to cruising, which I think has partially vanished. I mean, it's been replaced by synthetic glamour in a lot of cases, and then also the future, which is, you know, I quite like the idea of Virgin not being stuck with a recording business, which it was originally, or trains or planes, but wanting also to do space travel. So yes. I think that idea of somewhere between the glamour of the 20s and 30s and the glamour of the future,
yes.
which is also something which doesn't seem to happen so much anymore, is kind of interesting combination, right?
That's great. I'll pick up Rob, Lisa, where Tom left off a little bit with it, which is the Virgin brand itself. So just thinking about getting a call from Virgin Voyages and what the Virgin brand maybe meant to you, or the DNA of that brand, and if you felt like any of that influenced how you approached your spaces.
Oh, well, it was a long time ago when we got the call. Yeah,
2015.
I think the DNA of Virgin fits really who we are as Concrete. For me, Virgin is also sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I'm from Amsterdam, and our office is in the red light district, so I think it could not be a better match. But I think that For me, Virgin always challenged the cliché, and I think they look at the world in a different way than the majority of the world does, and they look at that the modern society has a different behavior than the past, and they really know spot on how to treat me well in an airplane, and no other airline can do it like Virgin does. So if they ask me, or they asked us, what I've done with the air industry, I want to do again on the sea, can you help me? I said, hell yes. As long as I don't have to go on an existing cruise. And she said, no, you're forced not going on a...
Yeah, you have to do a panel, but you don't have to go on it.
I'm not allowed on any other cruise for a while.
Yeah.
So yes, so we use that quite a lot, and I think our spaces, what I really like is that the ship is full of contrast, so there are a lot of spaces that are calm, and a lot of spaces that are extremely crazy, and luckily we have a lot of crazy spaces. So we really use this philosophy of being disruptive and trying to really change the perspective of what the audience wants, and do they really want to have a 7-day calm experience that is every day different, or do they want to have 15 different experiences throughout the day or throughout half a day? And I think the last thing is what people like. They zap from one world to the other one, and from sophistication to casual, and it could happen in an hour.
Yeah.
And this boat will provide all these different worlds by different designers, and they're all in contrast. And you can live the lifestyle you like, and not the lifestyle that the brand of the ship dictates.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. There's so much more dabbling, even within one person, of all sorts of lifestyles. People just don't fit into one cliche of who they are anymore. And I think that's probably a good time to just bring up the test kitchen concept, which I think is incredibly unique.
Well, this is not the test.
I know.
Full athletic
I'm
club.
just saying that's how testy it is. Okay. But to your point about the Virgin brand and crazy and experimentation, I think the space is particularly interesting, and I know you've done so many different spaces on land. I'm just curious, outside of this being on a ship, how is your sort of approach to this distinct from anything you've done before? Maybe even talk a little bit about the space.
Well, in first place, it's not only a restaurant, it's a laboratory. And that's very distinguished from other restaurants we've done before. So it has a double function, so you can of course have the dinner there, but you can also, during the day, it's a cooking school, but not only a cooking school, but it's a laboratory for
Lots and lots of different things.
being the best barista or becoming the expert in beer and wine. And so you can really get your hands dirty there as well.
Yeah.
But of course you have a great dining or drinking experience there in the evening. And what we try to do, and which is different from other restaurants probably, is that you can go there a lot of times and have a completely different experience. Because if you're sitting in the drinking laboratory, it will be different evening probably than sitting face to face with the chef and enjoying the meal.
I think that goes into Rob's point about contrast. I think what's interesting there is that even in the single space, you're creating both active and relaxed moods and environment. And I think I'd love to go to the athletics club now, because you have contrast between spaces, but even within spaces. And this makes me want to, wait until getting active until 2020, which won't be too hard for me. I have a good reason now not to do anything until then. But I'd love to hear more again about the space, and like you talked about the test kitchen, just the kind of, there's so much in this design that I think inspires the kind of experience and community and interaction you want to happen in the space. Could you talk a little bit about that for the athletics club in particular?
And it's quite difficult to talk short about this one because it's,
it's
a huge space on the top. So we are responsible for, let's say, in the beginning, there was an idea to create a sports bar. There's an idea to create a gym. There's an idea to create a basketball court. There's an idea to do things with sports. There's an idea for places that you can watch football, etc., etc. And we said, do we have to do all these spaces, or can we create one concept? And we got very much inspired by the Downtown Athletic Club here in New York, where it's not only about sporting. This is a vertical city full of sports with a swimming pool and a boxing ring. But the social life happened in the dressing rooms, where the muscled men were eating oysters. And there were beautiful drawings about that. And there was a bar and there was a hotel. And so at the end, sports is about two things. One is being active, being sweaty, creating a better shape of your body. That's probably not my favorite part of it. And the second part is that you look at them, you look at these shaped bodies, or you look at being a winner, or you look at people who are becoming a winner, looking at sports. And so we try to combine that in the athletic club, which is both. So we have a huge sunbathing bed where you can look at people jogging on a jogging track. So we introduced that jogging track, which is really free floating on top of the athletic club, where you can really have a loop to run and you will not bump into other people. And it's really on the ship. And when we proposed it, we felt, oh, here we can show that we can really go crazy, and they will of course push us back. And they didn't. It's still there. And every day we're still fighting to get it right. And
Still paying for it, by the way. We're still finding a way to pay for it, but it's not.
And I think we get it right.
Now, would you be on the day bed or on the jogging circle?
Well, I still hope that I can rollerblade at night on the jogging track.
Yes,
But
exactly.
probably security-wise, it's not extremely safe.
be
But so the bar is below. It's the trophy bar. So there are a lot of trophies there. It's dressed in gold because you're a winner. But you can do sunbathing there. You can do all kinds of other sports there. We have a basketball court. We have a boxing ring. We have an outdoor gym, and we have an indoor gym. There are cabanas where you can have a nap between your activities. All things mixing up together. And this is so where active life and relax meet each other. And it's up to you to decide what. So we also do brain training. We have games there. All kinds of things. So we have extremely interesting food coming there that you can feed your body with healthiness. So everything should be in harmony. And I think that was one of the interesting things is, and it's probably also in the DNA of our company, we don't stop where the interior stops. So we also push, if you do the test kitchen, you should get seriously your food right, because otherwise you totally miss it.
Yeah.
And because also they are all new in this cruise, we really, really challenge every aspect of the concept.
Yeah, it really is about the experience
Everything coming
and the
together.
service coming
Total
together.
harmony, not between the spaces, but within the space.
Yeah, and between.
Yeah.
It's great. I'd love to switch now to just talk a little bit. I know Roman and Williams couldn't be here today, and I introduced them a bit earlier, but they're renowned for hospitality spaces like the Chicago Athletic Association, the Viceroy Hotel in New York, and they've also designed incredible nightlife locales. I'm sure many of you have been to the Boom Boom Room at the Standard Hotel on the High Line, or the Gilded Lily here in New York City. And now, super exciting, they're the design team behind the Virgin Voyages nightclub, the Manor, as well as the outdoor lounge space, the Dock. So while they're not here, they were kind enough to send us a video, and we could both see the spaces as well as hear a little bit more from them on their vision.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Design Week and to the Virgin Voyages event. We wish we could be with you. Sorry to be away for this, but so excited to reveal some of the work we've been doing with Virgin for the last, 2 years on this awesome ship, and hope you enjoy it, and can't wait to see everybody soon.
Yeah, check out these renders on our hot, trippy ship. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but whatever that is, that ionic exchange, that salt and oxygen kind of thing, that I gotta get down there and I just gotta feel it, gotta jump in the ocean, gotta be splashed in the face by a wave. She's gotta get down there and just feel that kind of like slapping
Yeah, just the
ocean.
energy, the sound, the air, the taste.
The kinetic energy of this ship that's slowly moving. You sense it, and I think it has this trigger effect of just amplifying everything,
Because you're so clearly connected to something bigger than you,
Yeah.
which is that ocean. But then you're on this massive machine that we made. And those two things together, I think, speak to each other in ocean travel almost more so than anything. We were like, how do you start to reinvent that? I mean, that tries to happen in art, yes.
Theatrical and cinematic, right? But you're going on like a trip. I mean like a mental trip.
Yeah.
You're going on a cinematic trip.
We were thinking of the things we love about being by the sea, and sort of a dock or some incredible restaurant in Essaouira in Morocco where you're just very salty.
You're not going to go into the dock and be like, where's the hottest new light? It's not really like that. It's actually fairly chill. The design is a little understated. Sure, the design is beautiful, but it's actually more about, again, not to be redundant, but the food and the people who are on the space.
It comes from doing movie sets, which is you had to make a place that people, like that narrative was so compelling that it kind of calibrated your own experience.
Our lifestyle image of like walking around in this boat with wood and black and red and white, the color schemes of that golden era.
Well, it's to create a myth. Together we really helped to create a certain drama with the lighting. But we were just pretty fortunate to not have only spaces, right? I mean, even the black box has a fairly good, it's got a mezzanine and balcony, so it's got a 2-story space, but kind of amazing lights, like just these mirrored ball chandeliers that almost like breathe like a jellyfish, like go up and down.
But that is what we're trying to do constantly, you know. They turn a corner and they see something and it's just like, whoa, my God, it's beautiful, you know.
Well, this
And it
also melt their
surprises.
inhibitions, right?
Yeah.
And then allow them to just have a really powerful, kind of memorable experience. But I think
And
really
get them to be, it's about melting them so that they maybe begin to have this mildly hallucinogenic, cinematic, dreamy kind of experience.
A huge thanks to Robin Standifer and a very hippie, trippy Stephen Alice, the team at Roman and Williams. Dee, obviously, Robin and Stephen couldn't be here today, but that is a fine-looking aft, and I'd love to hear you talk more about the dock and sort of the ideas behind it.
Well, the dock is an amazing space because it's right down on deck 7, right at the back of the ship. So it's just the sort of place you want to go down in the morning, chill out, relax, have a bit of salt spray in your hair, those beautiful pictures of the waves, watch the world, you know, the waves wash by, and just really relax and enjoy yourself. And then realise that actually it's nighttime and you've been there all day and you've just had a great time drinking and chatting and being with your friends and your family while you're on holiday, while you're on vacation. So for us, it's amazing, amazing space, just a real chillax, outside, sailing feeling.
And then when you talk about the manor too, I just think being Virgin and the idea of a nightclub, there's just something so important about getting that just right.
Well, we sort of went very inspired by the ships, very inspired by classic nightclubs, right back to Studio 54, dare I say. Really, you know, happy that, you know, Roman Williams have done some amazing nightclubs, as we talked about earlier, with the Boom Boom Room, etc. And the best nightclubs, they're like labyrinths where you see people across the room and they're far away, but you can't get to them and you have to go around the corners and over. And it's all about the sort of experience of being in the nightclub and watching people dance and standing back and watching other people and dancing yourself and just having a great party. And I mean, to be honest, if Virgin can't do the best darn nightclub at sea, nobody can. So it's in our DNA.
So now we've seen all the ship teases. I'm just curious again, Dee, from you, was there anything were you surprised in any way when you first started to get initial proposals back from the creative collective?
Yeah, they did so much better than we could ever expect, and they just wowed us with how amazing the experiences were for our customers. And I think everybody challenged us in terms of we needed to do more on this ship, and we really needed to think about the lifestyles that all of us lead in these amazing cities that we live in around the world, you know, whether it's New York or London, sorry, I'm slightly biased, or it's holiday destinations like Ibiza and Miami. We all know that we have amazing holiday and vacation experiences, and our sailors expect the same, and these guys really created quintessential holiday romance for everybody.
And you know, to Tom, Robin, Lisa, then, when you're designing on land, oftentimes the spaces could be used by a local, a business person, a tourist. There's such a diversity in who might interact with your design and the experience you might have. For a ship in this Virgin Voyages, we know the people are going to be in a mindset of vacation at sea. Did that mindset at all influence, how you approach the design of the space? Tom?
No, kind of the opposite, really. I think in a way, because once you've got people on the ship and they're trapped on the ship, I think it's tempting. It might be tempting to not give them the best experience. When you're on land, you can choose. So the idea of giving more choice by giving a broader breadth of potential visual experiences as well as food experiences is what we're doing. But the idea that you try and get at least some more of the texture and reality of a land restaurant on sea was sort of the challenge in a way. But you are working in a kind of as Ron Williams were explaining, a sort of theatrical way, because it is artificial. So, I think for most of the people, trying to get a bit of grit and a bit of dirt in the oyster was one of the things that you wanted to do, to make something feel a bit more honest, if you like, and slightly less synthetic is the challenge on a ship, because it's built in a very different way, a very exciting way, actually. I think Tom just, you saw the film, you heard Tom describe it, but those huge hunks of metal being put together, it's quite an inspirational moment for all of the design team that went out to Genoa and saw the monumentality of the thing being put together. But I can't remember what your question was, actually.
I think everybody.
Drifting away.
You did great, don't worry. I can refresh the question for you. The question was really about the fact that there's a clear mindset when you're on the ship in terms of being on vacation at sea versus a diversity of different people and different headspaces interacting with the space. And I think you answered it well, is that could be a weakness if you lean into that too much, because it'll prevent some of the interest and grit and authenticity that's very indicative of land and is often missing in a traditional cruise experience.
And I think we also create, in a way, a new world, because we also all chose together that the boat should be really transitional. So at certain moments you should really feel you're on the sea and you're relaxed, and at the same moment that space could transit in that I think I'm in the middle of London right now. But we all do not know if a London type of restaurant would end up on the sea, what would happen? And I think we're still all curious. Yeah. And I think we should also not be able to answer that, because we have to see how it works. But there are spaces on the ship which are really like I'm in a cosmopolitan city. I can escape my holiday and I can see the active life and the rush that I have in New York. And then within a second, you step in another world and you're completely relaxed. It's really the lifestyle you choose, you can live on the ship, instead of that everything's calm or everything's active.
And when you approached that on that note, did you start with the feeling you wanted a sailor to experience as they interacted with the spaces? Is that, in terms of, were you trying to evoke a particular feeling when you thought about the athletics club or the test kitchen?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And could you talk a little bit more about that for the test kitchen, for example?
Well, all the spaces we are designing are very authentic. So that means that they have a true nature. So in the test kitchen, you should really feel as being in a laboratory, and you should really get the feeling I really want to get things done or want to learn things. And in the athletic club, it's this activation. You're probably feeling that, okay, I can watch people doing things, but probably I'm doing this out. Yeah. It's really a playground for adults.
I think this juxtaposition is like you're being lazy, hanging out on the sunbed, the largest sunbed at sea, and you're watching people run around the jogging track, and then indeed in the and there is our.
We brought test prints of our big sunbed.
Oh,
this is the beginning of I forgot the length. It's by heart.
No.
we calculate. Yeah, I think we can have 80 people sunbathing on one bed.
80
but this
people.
This is the beginning.
The beginning.
Of the largest sunbed on the sea.
Well, I've been hogging the mic, so I want to give everyone here a chance to ask questions as well, and make sure I put Tom in the hot seat instead of myself.
No hot seat, but a big round of applause for everybody. Everybody's going out to get a drink, I see.
Anybody have any questions for the panel? Great.
Hi, I'd like to ask the designers, were you inspired by each other? Did you know the work that each other was doing, or was this all a surprise to you to see the results?
No, I'm happy to say that Virgin, and I think also all the designers, don't see each other as competition. So there is no ego clash at all.
Come on.
Except maybe between us. And at a quite early stage, they shared, we had a meeting all together, all the designers together, and we were able to share our true passions on the designs we made. And even half of these designs have all changed, but there was no secret. And also, even we have in the cloud, we have all the drawings and all the renders. We are allowed to see everything what's happening on the ship, because I think it's good, as long as we all know we're creating contrast. So if we try to mimic our colleague, then we're not doing the thing that we wanted to do. So actually, I think it's very harmonious and also a lot of fun with all these designers together, or in Miami, or in
And I think, but almost the voyage, the Virgin Voyage, the fact it is a voyage, we're celebrating the sea, you know, and our sort of way of uniting all our thinking was very much around the romance of sailing, the modern romance of sailing, and how. So we tried to make sure that views and enjoying the ocean was very much part of the design, and that the ships were very outward looking. So all of those sort of things, we all sort of shared our passion for the amazing shipbuilding and our passion for the sea, and bring that sense of adventure to the right interior spaces, versus the other ones where you think you've disappeared back into a cool sit-in in a cool restaurant.
Any other questions? Come on. Huh? I see you. Okay, I have one last question. Oh, I have one last question for everyone. It's 2020. Everyone's invited. What's the first thing you're going to do on the Virgin Voyages ship?
I'm going to see all the spaces that I've not seen before, because there must be edgy corners which I have not seen yet. There will definitely be secrets, which I also do not know. So,
I think I will try to get invited to a crew party.
And you've been invited on the ship.
I have been invited.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I've paid for you, too.
You know, it's all going to be a complete surprise, the whole thing. You know, I have no idea what a cruise still don't have any idea what a cruise feels like. You know, I'm slightly claustrophobic, but I'm being prepared for a real adventure. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
And for me, I think it's about, definitely as Rob says, it's about exploring the ship, cocktail in hand, and going and seeing some of the very exciting spaces we've got across the ship. So this evening we've shared with you some beginning of the spaces, some of the outside spaces we have, and but there's lots more to show you all. So please keep following us on all social media, because there's lots more coming over this year. So we're very excited to share them with you. Great.
You know, I think back about that first time we see the ship, and I think for me it's going to be pretty emotional. So I think we're going to have a big
We're all
team
gonna
hug
cry, yeah.
with all the people who put a lot of their heart and soul into this for the past 3 to 5 years. I've been working on this project for almost 5 years, and people have really worked hard. And it isn't one person doing it, but it's a team. It's a team effort, and it's great creative people like this and leaders out there. It's teams from all out over the different functional areas of the organization. So I think that for us, it's going to be just a celebration.
Party.
Another party.
Right.
We do that well.
Before we get to our party, there's one last video treat for everyone. So let's play that down.
you.